Good morning, afternoon, whenever you are watching this episode. Welcome back to the MidTerm Rental Mastery Show. My name is Tanisha Epps, and I am a real estate investor based out of Virginia, and I specialize in midterm rentals. But honestly, I really want to talk about what the heck that even means. So let's start with my default, which is what is a midterm rental? So, the reason why this is so important is because I get a bunch of messages and calls and texts, and people say, "Hey, I'm getting into some midterm rentals." And then the next question I ask them is, "What the heck does that mean?" And then usually it's crickets or it's, "I'm going to rent to travel nurses." Okay, well, that's great, but what does that actually mean to you? So today I really want to take a second to really define, first off, what is a midterm rental and how it differs from short and long. So let's start there. So the first thing, short-term rentals, short, not a long stay, usually a vacation, but it doesn't have to be. So when we're talking about these parameters of short, midterm, and long term, we need to define who is our clientele, who are we serving. So typically, not always, but typically, when people think of short-term rentals, they think of, I'm going to go to the Airbnb platform and I'm going to rent a place because I'm on a vacation. Like if I'm going to Disney, which I love, by the way, Disney, or I'm going to, I don't know, Montana, and I'm going to visit, I'm going to hang out, and I need a place to stay, but I don't want to stay in a hotel because I like the convenience of having the kitchen, and maybe I have a larger family and it costs me less to stay at a house or even an apartment or a condo as opposed to staying in a hotel. Well, great. That's a short-term rental because that's what they need it for. Then you have long-term, right? And those are the people who are typically moving into a place because they're going to live there, usually for at least a year or more. Like some of my rentals, I've had people in there for 3-4 years. Great. Long-term tenants. They're actually living in the city. They're going to work every day. They're raising their families there. That's a long-term rental. But then you have this middle ground of midterm or medium term or middle term or whatever you want to call it. There's a bunch of names for it. Mid is just the middle of short and long. It means I'm going to have a stay that is longer than the typical short term, maybe vacation. Typically, they're more than 30 days, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Again, it all depends on who you're serving. So if you notice, I'm going back to your clientele. So for me, when I think of midterm rentals, I don't think of it just as a blanket strategy because what I'm seeing right now, especially where I'm at in the creative finance space, and if you're not familiar with creative finance, it's literally just a way to buy properties without having to use your credit, credentials, no banks, no loans, etc. So for me, I'm buying a lot on creative finance. And now I have to define for me, what are my parameters on buying properties? Well, a lot of what I'm doing is, again, midterm rentals or these in-between rentals, but it's not good enough for me just to say I'm doing that because there's a lot of properties that don't cash flow as long-term rentals. Now, my rule of thumb, if it doesn't cash flow as a long-term rental because I'm an investor, it really doesn't fit my strategy because at the end of the day, I need a fallback. That's what smart investors do. They have a fallback or they have a plan. Now, you may buy properties just for appreciation. Like I know several people that are in the position where they're buying because they're looking for appreciation later or they're looking for depreciation now. I'm not in that boat. I need cash flow. That's just me. Again, everybody has their different things. But if I look at what I'm doing on the midterm rental side, for me, it's all about defining my clientele. Who is it that I'm serving in the market and why do I want to serve them? So if we think about the largest of what people think about right now is travel medical professionals. You will never hear me say travel nurse unless specifically there's a travel nurse trying to book one of my places or staying. So I have a travel nurse in one of mine right now, and I'm saying travel nurse because she is an actual nurse and she's traveling in this area. My place is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. She loves it. She just extended for another 3 months. Wonderful. So now technically she would have been in my place for 6 months. Like it's beautiful. And I barely talk to her. I usually call in to check in to make sure she's like okay or, if there's anything that she needs, but everything is going really well. So for me, for that particular location, It's a midterm rental that my clientele today is a travel medical professional. If you're going to do those, you need to research what they need and what they want in their places. Why is it that they're coming to your location, and what can you provide them to stand out from someone else? Is it price? Is it your furnishings? Is it proximity to a hospital? Is it proximity to a Starbucks? Is it proximity to travel as far as maybe walking distance, or if it is near a bus line or like I don't know, a train station? They call them different places. I know like in Atlanta, they call it the MARTA. Wherever you live, what is the proximity to the place where these people need to be? And what are the things that are important to them when they're staying with you? So in a future episode, I'm actually going to bring on a friend of mine who is a travel medical professional, and we're going to talk about her experiences as a traveler, what she was looking for, where she booked her places, what she liked and what she didn't like, to give you some insight on the mindset of the person who will actually be staying with you. This is the key thing that I think a lot of people are missing when they're saying, I'm going to do some midterm rentals. Like, the thing is, this is not a brand new concept. I used to be a traveler. I traveled for 10 years for my job, and I stayed in corporate housing, in apartments. I used to stay in hotels. I've stayed in houses before. So this is not brand new. So where all these people think, oh my gosh, midterm rentals, it may be the buzzword today, but the concept is not new. Again, I did it for 10 years as a traveler, as a part of my job. So think about who you're serving and why. So who else could use a midterm rental? Midterm rental, right? Which means who needs somewhere to stay for more than 30 days? Well, what if you're near a military base? Do you have people that are coming in who are being PCSed in and out of an area? Of course, those are really great resources. They're great places. People need housing. Who else do you have? I get a lot of people who are moving to an area, not in the military, just moving to an area, and they want to come check it out for a month or so. Or they just built a house and their house isn't ready and they need to stay with me. So think about who it is that you're serving and what they need, and why would they want to stay with you. That is super important. There's people that are displaced from their homes for various reasons. It could be a job relocation, which I've done too. I relocated from Virginia to Florida several years ago. All my stuff got taken, and it didn't get there when I did. So I needed a temporary place to stay that had furniture and everything else until I got there. Now, that's the other misconception too, and we'll talk about this at another time. I just got off the phone with one of my reps from a company that I work with, a relocation company, and she told me they'd really prefer the place not to be furnished if the person's staying for a longer time, because now they don't have to worry about the guests looking for something that wasn't there, etc. So again, when we say midterm rental, think to yourself, what does that actually mean? As you're building out your business plan and your strategy, think about who you want to serve and why. Why do you care about them? It's not just about money. Money's not good enough. It just isn't. Like the money is great if you know your pricing, if you're in a really good area, if you know who you're serving. But if your first goal is money first, I'm going to tell you you're doing yourself and your clients a disservice, because this really is a hospitality business. So when we say midterm rental, ask yourself, what the heck is a midterm rental? Who am I serving and why? And then start to build your plan from there. I hope this was helpful. It's a really quick one. By the way, coming up in a few days, I think it's going to be Monday, my friend Tech and I are going to come on live, and we're going to talk about rental arbitrage and the scope of short-term rentals and also midterm rentals. Now, I don't typically do short-term, but my friend does, so we can talk about kind of all of it. And again, we're going to do a live show so people can ask questions. So this should be on Monday. What's Monday? March 27th, 2023. So you'll get a notification if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe now so you can get the notifications. There's going to be some cool things coming up with interactions and live discussions with people in different industries, and just different ways that you can tap into this whole midterm rental space, because there's so many clients that need your help. They need your service if you know how to serve them. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.